Candace Owens sat at the View table Thursday morning, her fourth appearance on the show but the first since her controversial comments about various social issues had made headlines. The tension was thick before she even spoke. The hosts seemed prepared for battle, and Candace's slight smile suggested she was too. Whoopi opened carefully. She said, "Candace Owens is back with us. Candace, you've been making waves with your recent statements about, well, everything. Care to clarify some of your positions?" Candace leaned back confidently. She said, "Which positions would you like me to clarify, Whoopi? The ones you've misrepresented or the ones you've taken completely out of context?" Already, the gloves were coming off. Joy Behar jumped in immediately. She said, "Well, let's start with your comments about feminism being a scam. Don't you think that's insulting to women who fought for your right to have a platform?" Candace smiled. She said, "I think modern feminism is a scam, Joy. It tells women they're oppressed while living in the freest country in the world. It tells them victimhood is empowerment. The women who fought for real rights would be appalled at what feminism has become." Sunny Hostin couldn't contain herself. She said, "So you don't think women face any challenges in America today?" "I think everyone faces challenges," Candace replied calmly. "But I don't think being a woman in America is one of them. I think being a victim is a choice, and modern feminism encourages that choice. It's toxic." The audience stirred. This was classic Candace, provocative and unapologetic. Sarah Haynes tried to find middle ground. She said, "But surely you can acknowledge that some women face real discrimination." "Some people face discrimination," Candace interrupted. "But we've created a culture where every inconvenience is oppression, every disagreement is violence, and every woman who succeeds without feminism is a traitor. That's not progress, that's regression." Ana Navarro, guest co-hosting, exploded. She said, "How can you sit there as a black woman and deny?" "Stop." Candace held up her hand. "Don't use my race to validate your arguments. I'm not your black friend who agrees with you. I'm a free-thinking individual who happens to be black. The fact that bothers you says more about your racism than mine." The table erupted, everyone trying to talk at once. Whoopi tried to restore order. She said, "Let's all calm down." "Why should we calm down?" Candace stood up. "You invited me here to attack me 5-on-1, and now you want calm? This is what you do. Gang up on conservative women, then clutch pearls when we fight back." She walked around the table, her energy commanding the space. "You want to know what I really think? I think this show is propaganda. I think you manipulate women into believing they're victims. I think you profit from division while pretending to promote unity. And I think you're terrified of women like me who see through it." Joy's face was red. She said, "Women like you are. Successful? Independent? Uncontrolled?" Candace interrupted. "Yes, we are. And that terrifies you because we prove your narrative wrong. We show women they don't need your ideology to thrive." Sunny stood up too. She said, "You're deliberately inflammatory." "I'm deliberately honest," Candace shot back. "Something this show hasn't been in decades. You want inflammatory? How about telling black Americans they're permanent victims? How about convincing women that marriage is oppression? How about destroying the nuclear family and wondering why society is falling apart?" She pulled out statistics from her folder. 71% of black children born out of wedlock. Skyrocketing depression among young women. Plummeting marriage rates. These are the fruits of your progressive ideology. But sure, I'm the problem for pointing it out. Ana Navarro shouted, "You're oversimplifying complex issues." "I'm stating facts you don't want to hear," Candace replied. "Complex issues? The only thing complex is the mental gymnastics you do to avoid admitting your worldview has failed." The audience was completely divided, some applauding Candace, others booing. This moment exposes the divide between those who profit from victimhood narratives and those who reject them. When someone refuses to play the assigned role, when they challenge the approved script, the reaction reveals everything. This is why unfiltered voices matter. They shatter comfortable lies. Candace continued, addressing the audience directly. "Ladies, they want you weak. They want you dependent. They want you angry at men, at society, at anyone but them. Because weak women are easy to control. Angry women are easy to manipulate. But strong women were their worst nightmare. Whoopi tried to regain control. She said, "Candace, you're making sweeping generalizations." "Am I?" Candace spun to face her. "Then let's get specific. This show has promoted every toxic trend in modern culture. Single motherhood as empowerment. Promiscuity as liberation. Obesity as body positivity. You've convinced women that dysfunction is freedom." Joy exploded. She said, "How dare you judge how women live? How dare you?" Candace's voice boomed. "You've spent decades judging traditional women, mocking stay-at-home moms, attacking women who choose family over career. But I'm judgmental for promoting stable families." She walked back to the table, leaning on it. "You know what's really happening here? You're losing. Your narrative is crumbling. Young women are rejecting feminism. They're choosing tradition. They're realizing that your liberation was actually enslavement to corporate interests and government dependence." Sunny tried to interject. She said, "That's conspiracy theory nonsense." "Is it?" Candace pulled out more papers. Fertility rates plummeting. Mental health crisis among young women. Loneliness epidemic. These are the results of your liberation. But anyone who points it out is spreading conspiracy theories. Ana Navarro stood up, shouting, "You're just a puppet for right wing." "Puppet?" Candace laughed loudly. "I built my platform from nothing. I speak my mind regardless of consequences. Meanwhile, you all read from the same script every day. Who's the puppet?" She addressed each host individually. "Joy, you've been saying the same thing since the 90s. Sunny, you repeat whatever progressive talking point is trending. Ana, you claim to be Republican while parroting Democrat positions. Whoopi, you haven't had an original thought in years. But I'm the puppet." The chaos was complete. Producers were frantically signaling. Security was moving closer. Candace raised her voice above the din. "This is what they do, America. When you challenge their narrative, they attack en masse. When you present facts, they call it hate. When you promote strength, they call it oppression. It's all backwards." Whoopi shouted, "You need to leave." Candace grabbed her things. She said gladly, "But first, let me be clear about something. You didn't defeat me. You proved my point. 5 liberal women couldn't handle one conservative voice. You had to silence me because you couldn't refute me." As she headed for the exit, she turned back. "To every woman watching who's been told she's a gender traitor for choosing family, who's been mocked for traditional values, who's been silenced for speaking truth, you're not alone. We're growing. We're winning. And shows like this can't stop us." Joy screamed, "Good riddance." Candace stopped at the door. She said, "You know what's really sad? You could use this platform to actually help women, to promote real strength, real independence, real empowerment. Instead, you peddle victimhood and wonder why women are miserable." She looked at each host one last time. "You've had decades to prove your ideology works. Look around. Women are unhappier than ever. Families are destroyed. Children are suffering. That's your legacy. That's what progressivism built. And that's why women like me will keep speaking truth until voices like yours are just bitter echoes of a failed experiment." Her final words rang out. "I'm not storming out. I'm walking away from toxicity toward truth, from weakness toward strength, from your failed feminism toward real female empowerment. And millions of women are walking with me." She left to explosive reactions from the audience, massive applause from some, angry boos from others. The show immediately went to commercial. When they returned, the hosts looked shaken, defensive. They spent the remaining time trying to discredit Candace, but their arguments felt hollow after the confrontation. Within minutes, #Candace Destroys the View was trending worldwide. The full clip garnered over 500 million views in 24 hours, becoming one of the most watched daytime TV moments ever. The reaction split America. Conservative women rallied to Candace's defense, sharing stories of being attacked for traditional choices. Liberal media painted her as extreme, but many moderate women admitted she'd raised valid points about modern feminism's failures. Candace posted later, "They invited me on to be their punching bag. Instead, I held up a mirror to their toxic ideology. They couldn't handle their own reflection. The truth doesn't storm out. It walks away from lies with dignity." The View's ratings took a significant hit. especially among younger women. Many said they were tired of being told how to think and live by the hosts. Major conservative female voices amplified the moment. Even some classical feminists admitted modern feminism had lost its way. At a speaking event weeks later, Candace reflected, "That moment on The View represented everything wrong with modern discourse. They don't want debate, they want submission. They don't want strong women, they want agreeable ones. But we're done being agreeable. We're done pretending their failed ideology works. We're done being silent." She smiled. "They thought 5-on-1 would intimidate me. They forgot that truth doesn't need numbers. One voice speaking reality beats 5 voices spreading lies every time." The revolution wasn't in the confrontation. It was in refusing to accept their premises. It was in challenging decades of narrative control. It was in showing that sometimes walking away is the strongest stance. Because some tables aren't worth sitting at. Some conversations aren't worth having. And some ideologies aren't worth legitimizing with debate. The audience gasped not just at the drama, but at the recognition. The Empress had no clothes. And someone finally said it out loud.